Man, it's the big dog, Doe Fresh to Dine, and I'm with my dog, Shine. What's happening, man? We back. Fresh
Doe,
podcast.
Man, another episode. Kind of hard to believe, right?
Man, yeah.
Multiple ones in. Feeling good, feeling great. Today's been a blessing. We are actually getting ready to venture into doing some other things as well, which we'll get into the podcast. But you and I were talking about something specific that you mentioned to me. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about old versus new, right? The old versus new, the things that we were used to, the things that are now more of a norm. What are some things, and we kind of like specifically discussed music.
Yep. Started with music, and then we sat and thought about it and was like, damn, you know what? It's more than music. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost everything you can really think of for real. It's just been a change and a disconnect at the same time from the old way or the old generation to the new way, the new generation. So I guess we can start, because let us tell y'all, everybody that's watching, a lot of our content and a lot of these conversations we have, they start with a phone conversation with us. Like we just be talking, like, and then we be like, damn, like we need to really dive deeper into that on the podcast.
Right.
So y'all getting it authentic, you know what I'm saying? These are like our real conversations. We was kind of like talking about hip hop and just the disconnect where you got a lot of the and I don't want to put it all on the, because we obviously are older guys. So I'm never biased and just putting it all on the new generation or the younger generation or whatever. But I will say, I feel like in hip hop in general, like I feel like it's almost the only genre of music that I can think of where the people that paved the way, the trendsetters, the guys that started it, they don't get, it seems to me they don't get the respect and the love that they should get. Where when you look at like country, rock, you look at all these other genres, and I feel like those older artists that's up in the age 50, 60, even 70, these guys are, they're pretty much praised, you know what I'm saying? Where in hip hop, the older people still look at these guys as legends or whatever, but a lot of the younger guys in the newer generation is kind of like they kind of just like, man, old heads, they don't know what they talking about.
Oh, washed up, yeah.
A lot of disrespect.
I've heard so many times, and it's so weird too, because even like with us, right? We have our parents' music and watching like how, and things have changed dramatically, not even just in our era or the one before or even the one after.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I did always notice that at least back in, even a couple, 2000s and something, like the old music that was being kind of reintroduced through samples and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like that was kind of their way of recognizing. That was their way of paying homage to.
Yep.
And now it's like, and I think that's where the disconnect happened. Is people are like, nah, we do our own thing, our own lane, make a new sound, and I get it, right? But you and I both like discussed. There's nothing new under the sun. Like anything you do, it could be a new invention, but somebody else sparked an invention to make that idea.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with music. I just feel that some of the younger generation is so stuck on, I hate to call any music garbage, man, because I believe music is a way for people to express, but I feel we've gotten away from that.
Yeah.
We went from drug dealer music to drug user music, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems like that's apparent.
It is. And it's just like, I don't know, like for me as an artist, when I would listen to artists from generations that was before me, before my time. You know what I'm saying? Like I was born in the late 80s, but I would listen to the music that was out in the late 80s. You know what I'm saying?
You a Madonna fan?
You silly, man. But I would listen to the Rakims, the Big Daddy Kanes, the Cool G Raps, LL Cool J's, all those artists from that time, and even a little bit of the artists before then. And but I'm saying I would listen to them now, you know what I'm saying? Like, and still
it's legendary.
Be appreciative of the music, and I guess giving it a chance and understanding, like, the sound is gonna sound a little outdated because it was, made 40 something years ago. But you just have to, I don't know, like I feel like if you have an appreciation for the art form, you will be able to understand that it was dope. It's still dope, but it was for that time, like, with this new generation, what they doing, whatever it is, whatever the movement is, the drill movement or whatever, that's new, it's fresh. So at that time, they got to understand that the music was fresh for that time. And in the 90s, when that came along, when we heard Bone Thugs, you never really heard rappers tongue twisting and stuff like that, the way they was flowing.
It's the evolution of music, right?
Evolution. It's always going to change. Now, so, there's a debate. Has it changed for the better or changed for the worse? And that's with everything. And to, take it a step further than just hip hop, even like me and you, we big sports fans as well. And, and I could say our generation was guilty of this too. Like when we talk about the GOATs or the top 5 or whoever, most of the players are the people that we grew up watching with our own
in our
eyes.
generation. Own generation.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's kind of like disrespectful to the guy that's 60 or 70 that's like, yeah, but what about Wilt? He was a bad boy. Or what about Pistol Pete Maravich? Or these players there? And we were wrong too, because we'd be like, man, the competition was weak. We try to downplay their accolades, and so
it's a repetitive thing that goes on
cycle.
In the generation.
Yeah. So I kind of I can say that we aren't angels in that either. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we just like, nah, man, it's Jordan, it's Magic, it's Bird, it's Kobe, Shaq, now LeBron, Durant, and Curry, and all that. So I think we are all like kind of like prisoners of the moment sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I'll tell you, and like I love seeing things evolve. The one thing, and of course sports, we realize now how damaging sports. I mean, football. A lot of the guys that played 20, 30, 40 years ago are dying early.
Yeah, true.
They have brain injuries. Some of these guys can't even walk.
Yeah.
Any professional, like, I remember when I heard somebody say, and of course I was young, wrestling's fake. And I'm like, no, it's not. We all, it's fake in the story. And I heard Hogan say this on the documentary you recommended, the Vince McMahon that come out.
McMahon, yeah.
And he said, the story and the characters are fake. He said, but let me see you throw a 200 and some odd pound man around.
Yep.
It's physical.
They put their body on the line, suffer all type of injuries.
And mankind, when I go back and look at that, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, like this guy self-destructed his body and really didn't care for the entertainment of others. Like that's how far athletes, and while I respect athletes in that form, right? I also don't believe that in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, or even 70s when people were playing basketball, it's not all you did. You didn't have a $22 million contract for 4 years.
Right. You
had a few $100s a week or per game, and then you went back to your 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah. And that's why and that's why they should be, we got to put some respect on the old school. You got to you got to respect it, cuz you don't pick the generation you born in. So if you were great in your generation, man, you are one of the greatest, period. Yeah, I don't care, if you played or did music or whatever it is you did, film, everything is going to evolve. Right. So, if you take we watch a movie that was produced in 2024 and then you watch a movie that came out in 1960, of course the quality is going to be way better. It's supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? But the storyline, and like you said, every generation inspires the next generation, and it's up to the next generation to take it to a higher level or a lower level in some cases. It just depends on what it is. But I just feel like you said about the football, a lot of players, injured, and as me being a football fan, sometimes I do watch and say, damn, man, the games got so soft. You can't hit them below the knees. You can't hit them above the shoulders. It makes it so offensive because like the defensive players, you gotta play football, but you also in your mind thinking like, man, if I do this, it's a penalty. I do that's a penalty, and it kind of waters down the game. But on the flip side of that, it's almost like, do you wanna just see players get hurt? Because that's really what we want. Like a lot of it sounds messed up saying it outward. Yeah, it's almost like
shit show,
for
right?
years. You back in the day they had the gladiators. People would go to coliseums and watch people kill each other, fight to the death. You know what I'm saying? So that's all it is modernized, and we love to see a big hit. We love to see we don't want. We humans, we don't want to see a person really hurt, but we want to see them.
We don't want to see you die. We just want to see a couple days in the hospital. Right?
That's what it seemed like. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know, but so it's like to say, is the old school way better or the new school way better? I think they trying to improve as far as like they want people's health to be better long term. Right. And like I said, music is just subjective. You either like, how music was then in your era, or you like it better now. I'm sure a 19-year-old, 18-year-old kid's gonna like what their.
But it's also what they're exposed to, right?
Yeah.
Like if they've never heard, I know my daughter and your daughter know a lot of old music. They know old artists and stuff.
Because of us.
Because they've been exposed to it, right?
Old heads.
So, right, old heads. And I think what I kind of find funny as time kind of goes on, and, when I think about like how music and just how like things have changed, the disconnect to me happens when people feel they need to start over, right? Hip-hop music has evolved, country music, all these genres have evolved very well, even sports. Mm-hmm. But, of course, we can all admit that 40 years ago, discipline was different, sports was different, the way you treated people was different, everything was different.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's gotten better, right? Because, 40 years ago, discipline was a real thing. You just smacked the shit out of your kid or out of whoever. It's just what you did. Physical violence was discipline.
Yep.
And as we've gotten older, we've recognized that's not necessarily the way that we need to do every situation. So we become more sensitive to those. But then it's like we come to a crossroads to where we became so sensitive that everything's offensive. And at this point, like I said, I definitely don't want anybody to get hurt in the NBA or NFL. But the one thing that I will say is they get paid high enough to be able to get all the treatment and everything they need. So it's almost like, to me, they're getting paid more, but the game is not as much. So I feel like that balance
less risk, yeah.
Yeah, and I heard this guy say, I can't remember who it was. Somebody could probably tell us down below in the comments. But there was a guy who's like, listen, if I go to a football game and I pay $80, he said, I want him roided out. I want him as big and as massive. Like, I'm paying for a guy to jump 9 feet in the air over another guy. And I just thought, this is like what most people, right? Because you don't want to see average sports players.
Yep.
You want to see far and beyond. Well, there's very few of those. But if you pump the game or make the game good enough, or steroids or whatever it is, you can make the game interesting.
Yeah.
That's why wrestling got so big. It was because of the steroids. These guys were just massive.
And steroids and coke.
Man.
In the 80s, man, come on, man. The wrestlers was coked up.
Big and could run for 13 miles.
The football, all athletes, they was coked up, man. It was just a different time. So it's like things have evolved for the better because it's cleaner. You know what I'm saying? Now, from an entertainment standpoint, if you watched whatever it was, wrestling in this golden era, football, basketball, baseball, hip hop, if you would say the golden era, you might think that it was better back then. You know what I'm saying? But they try to make things, I guess, better in the sense of technically it is better. Like even with music,
well, it's a business. What you said earlier. You said, through everything, it's entertainment for us, but for them, it's what?
It's business.
So they have to protect, and we again, we don't want to see anybody hurt. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, and it's almost, like you said, it's a business, and it's kind of a way, and we understand, like, getting things better. But I'll tell you what, I cannot get over this, and I just seen a video earlier. Did NBA change so much that you could take 4 steps and not be called for travel? I just get that clear.
A lot of people, they got
a lot
of videos, a lot of traveling going on where it doesn't get called.
I didn't travel my entire time playing basketball when I was a kid, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Not one time.
Yeah.
So, but again,
5 steps.
I mean, well, that was a hop. That wasn't really a step, but I think things have changed, and like even with communication, right? Like I remember when you didn't get a hold of somebody, it was important to get a hold of somebody. Mm-hmm. That's how much things have changed, where we kind of look now to where we're a text and a call away from everybody. And I am notorious for turning my phone off and turning it on silent. I just sometimes I don't want to be bothered, but work obviously does not allow for that to happen a whole lot. Family, stuff like that. But it's the old thing where you could shut the entire world off when you got home. You didn't have to worry about, hey, can you come in tomorrow? Hey, any of this. But I don't want to answer my phone. I just didn't. Leave a message. And if I have time, I'll get back.
Yep.
But now it's like, hey, man, didn't hear from you. I texted you twice and called you 3 times.
Ain't no escaping it. Like, hey, man, I follow you on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and I got your phone number. Like you can't even dodge your person no more. Like back in the day, like you said, if you just had a house phone, they don't know. You could be gone, whatever.
I could not answer my door.
Yeah, exactly. Now, man, hey, the person know, hey, he's purposely dodging me. And then, like you said, just the old way of like even with just from a human standpoint, like I feel like manners is not. I ain't gonna say there's no manners now. You got some bright young kids, you know what I'm saying, that's doing it right. But it's like, damn, man, like we were raised like, no ma'am, no sir, yes ma'am, yes sir, respect your elders, just respect. Yeah, just off the top. Now it's like, man, if you like, we ain't even that old, but to these youngsters, man, look at Unc, look at OG over there. But they're not even saying it in a nice way. It's more so like putting you down, like, man, you old, bro, you old, you don't know. Damn, man, like and we gotta put this out there, man. It's a blessing, absolute blessing to get older. We gotta. That's something I would say
Underrated for sure.
Yeah, like this new generation, like it's like, man, you 30 years old and now you an old head and they want to make fun of you for being 30. And it's like, man, y'all losing y'all lives too young, bro. Like, it's a blessing, man, to have, to get older, to get a little bit of gray, you know what I'm saying, to get this wisdom, to have kids.
Are you poking fun of me?
And hopefully to have grandkids one day, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the beauty of life, man. And it's like, hey, yo, don't get me wrong. It's great to be young. What a time to be alive, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Great, have fun, man. But everybody I ain't gonna say everybody gets old, because a lot of these youngsters is dying out here. But you know what I'm saying? It's a blessing to get old.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: would you want to be 20 in today's age?
Ooh, nah. I'm glad. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I'm glad I was born and raised in the era that I was born and raised in.
Agreed.
Like, keeping it real. And that's no shade to the young kids. I'm sure some of them feel like this is the best era ever. I mean, from a technology standpoint and all that, it is.
It's phenomenal.
Great. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have all the stuff that they had, but man, we had a hell of a time with what we did have.
Could you imagine, and I guess if you don't have it, like, you don't know, right? You don't miss what you don't have.
Exactly.
But the only thing that I see is like, gosh, man, like what kind of person would I be if I didn't know? Like, if I didn't grow up, like, in those certain areas, or, like, with those certain things. Yeah. What kind of person would I be? And then I kind of, like, look. But just imagine, like, our daughters will never know what a real simple life was. Yeah. The simple
life, yeah.
You didn't worry for too much. You worked a job, you paid your taxes, you paid your bills, and that was it.
That was it.
And you could do it with one person.
Yeah, one person. Yeah, now, boy, unless you really bringing in some bread, man, you gotta have you and your spouse working. You gotta have a roommate, something. A lot of times people are living below average lives because that's all they can afford. You know what I'm saying?
Paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. Trust me, I know that life well, man.
And it's a struggle living in that. And I do remember years ago, it was different. Like, you could get a place for $200-$300, a small, maybe not like the best end of town. I don't even think you can get into a spot for like under $1,000. Yeah. Like, that's nothing else. It's not phone cable. It's nothing. That's just the home to, like, the roof over your head. Yeah. And I just can't imagine like how hard. And I do think that people are adapting. Of course, I never made $22 an hour working in an ice cream shop, or making $15 working at McDonald's. So that's, again, where things have shifted, but it's still not enough. Even at $20 an hour, I still don't know how two people make it.
It's rough out here, man. It's rough.
My parents bought their first house for $12,500.
Damn.
Yeah, nice,
boy,
nice 3-bedroom house.
If I get a house for $12,000 right now,
we'd all be all right.
Lord, boy.
Somebody needs to talk to Jeff Bezos. I heard this the other day, and they were talking about how simple life should be. He has enough money to give like everybody $1 million, like every single person existent, and I think he would still be a billionaire.
Damn.
Yeah, he's give everybody
caked up, man. Let me point this out there too, though. I will say, a lot of old heads too, man. We gotta gotta ease up a little bit. I mean, we like what we like, but sometimes I feel like, because respect goes both ways. Yeah, we was raised to respect our elders, but your elders respected you too. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like sometimes a lot of older people are just kind of like stuck in their ways, and they just, pretty much shit on anything that's new, fresh, and young, and I feel like that's never the way to go, because
try to taunt and like to say kind of, because it's out of the norm, right? Content creation in YouTube, to be a YouTuber or a podcaster, is not the norm when we were growing up.
Nah.
But it is very much the norm now. And like you said, it's almost, I remember saying, oh, would you be like an influencer? I'm like, no. Because I had a bad taste in my mouth about it. Because I'm like, it's this and that. But it's the times that are changing that I think we have to realize. And like you said, it's instead of judging, it's helping, coming together. The reason we are correct, the reason we are who we are today is because of the people that helped us grow through the generation. And we are who we are because of how we were brought up, right? And it's almost like, I think the older generation now is just kind of like, man, look, there's nothing we could do. We can't help them. And even some of the younger generations, like, nah, I don't need no help. We all just feel like we've given up on each other, right? Because of such of a disconnect. I can't, connect with somebody. I hear music, 20-year-old, loves it. I'm so sorry. This song is so bad. And
you like, man, this shit trash.
It was, and bro, and I really care about this guy. You know what I'm saying? Really cool. He's young. Got a lot going on for him. But then it's like when I hear the taste of music, it's like when people go, well, who would you vote for? And the minute you hear it and you're like, oh, it's a completely different person.
Yeah.
It's really not. Because that's what he was brought up on. Now, his dad is very influential, in music, old school.
Yeah.
But he said, listen to this part. Pow, pow, pow. And I just went, oh, no. But I know he's very intelligent, right? But I just believe it's because you stick that music down their throats, and that's all you hear, because all we listen to is the radio and Spotify and Apple Music. Well, they promote whatever you'll put money behind.
Yep.
Well, if you want to promote garbage becomes very popular.
Yep.
And, I just feel that's music is a disconnect. Everything is. So it's almost like I don't think there's anything that's going to stop it, right? All we can do is just try to help to understand from one generation to the other. And like you said, it's not downplaying, oh, man, the new generation is lost. They might be lost because nobody helped them.
Yeah.
Because nobody told them, how'd
they get lost? How they get lost? You know what I'm saying? That's a more of a reflection on the old generation than it is the new generation. If the new generation is so lost, like you said, and you said earlier, which that's been a meme floating around. We grew up on drug dealer music, and they grew up on drug user music, but neither one of them is really a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Even us being boastful about that, we grew up on that drug dealing music, and I get it. A hustler is definitely better than a fiend. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, we have to admit that, but neither one of them is really good. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day,
one's a little better than the other.
But I'll say this, man. I learned a lot from my daughter. I learned a lot from my nephew, my younger brothers. A lot of the younger people. And at the end of the day, I think both is needed, man. You need the wisdom of being older, because you gain wisdom as you live life, because life is the best teacher. You know what I'm saying? But then you need that young, vibrant energy. That new young energy is needed. If everybody was just stuck in the old, nothing changes, and whether you like whatever it is, the music or the way sports is played or whatever it is, I mean, it's gonna change and it's gonna evolve. So it's up to us to just try to understand it. You don't have to just like how you gonna keep it real. I'm not gonna force myself to like something I don't like, but at least be willing to give it a chance. And that's on both ends. Sometimes I play old school music. My daughter like most of the old school music I play, but sometimes she's like, this sounds like she ain't feeling it. And that's cool. We all have our opinion, but like I said, man, I feel like it's key. We need that young, vibrant energy, and that young people just, I don't know, man. It's just, we were all young at one time, and it's like to just discredit them and how they vibe and how they move. I don't think that would be wise to do. But also,
so both sides are guilty of not either trying new things or not at least teaching new things. They're coming together, right? The unity of black and white. But where's the unity from young to old?
Young to old, yeah, it's got to be there. And I feel like, and that's why I say it used to be there. But a lot of times, like when you look at it now, old is young now. Like literally, like I said, when you 30, when you 50, like back in our day, old was literally 60, 70, 80. That was when you was considered old. Now and I feel like you had the grandmothers, you had the grandparents was very influential. I feel like the family dynamic, I think that falling apart a little bit, and the parents getting younger, you know what I'm saying, younger and younger, that made it made it a little more of a disconnect, just from a
because
respect.
The younger parents didn't know as much as the older parents, right? They hadn't lived as much life, so the advice that they're giving is from a perspective of people who have not maybe totally matured.
Kids raising kids.
Kids raising kids, yeah. So I think the biggest thing is just learning that sometimes the disconnect is really just us. It's not generational. It's not just sport. It's us, right? It's people. Should somebody else think LeBron is the GOAT? It's their generational GOAT. Absolutely. Do I believe Michael Jordan is my GOAT? Absolutely.
Both can be right.
Both can be right. Like who's right? You know, if you say stats, he has more stats. I'll agree with that. But we can all have different GOATs and different people we look up to and celebrities. It's not allowing the disconnect to disconnect us.
Man, real.